Our next story is about a man called Napoleon. He was born in the year 1769 on the island of Corsica. His father was a lawyer and his mother was a local noblewoman. But Napoleon wasn't your typical rich kid. Oh no. You see, when he was just 10 years old, his father died and his family lost their fortune. So young Napoleon had to find a way to make money for himself. And how did he do that? Well, by selling his hair, that's how. I'm not kidding. He cut off his luscious locks and sold them to a wig maker. Can you imagine doing that today? I mean, we all have bad hair days, but come on. Anyway, with the money he made, Napoleon bought books and taught himself everything he needed to know about artillery, engineering, and mathematics. It was during this time that he also developed his famous taste for power. At the age of 16, Napoleon joined the French army as an artillery officer, and by the time he was 24, he had risen through the ranks to become a brigadier general. During the French Revolution, he seized power in a coup d'etat and became the first consul of France. As the first consul, he basically ran France like a dictator. But don't get me wrong, he wasn't some evil villain. In fact, he did a lot of good things for France. He introduced many reforms, such as the metric system and the Napoleonic Code, which was a new legal code that helped to establish equality and justice in France. He also appointed people based on their skills rather than their social status, which led to a lot of social mobility. But despite all these accomplishments, Napoleon was never satisfied with what he had achieved. He wanted more power. And where does one get more power? Well, from more land, obviously. So Napoleon set out to conquer Europe. He led his armies to victory in many battles against the Austrians, the Prussians, and the Russians. But eventually his luck ran out. In 1812, he decided to invade Russia, but the Russian army defeated him. This defeat led to the decline of Napoleon's empire, and ultimately to his downfall. After losing the Battle of Waterloo in 1815, he was forced to abdicate the throne and was exiled to the island of St. Helena in the Atlantic Ocean. Here's the interesting thing about Napoleon's exile. He could have spent his days playing golf, or maybe taken up fishing, or perhaps started a small business selling coconuts. You know, anything but what he actually did. See, even in exile, Napoleon couldn't resist the urge to meddle in French politics. He wrote letters to French leaders giving them advice, which obviously went unheeded. But that didn't stop him from trying. In 1821, after suffering from stomach cancer for years, Napoleon finally died on the island of St. Helena. Even in death, he remained a controversial figure. Some people saw him as a hero who had brought glory to France, while others saw him as a dictator who had wasted the lives of thousands of French soldiers. But whatever you may think of him, there's no denying that Napoleon was one of the most powerful and influential men of his time. And guess what? We've barely scratched the surface here. There's so much more to his story that we didn't even cover, like his relationship with his wife, Josephine, or the real reason why he started the famous Napoleonic Wars, or how he escaped from exile and briefly returned to France. Yeah, that happened. Meanwhile, if you enjoyed this mini bio, then don't forget to give us a thumbs up and subscribe for more content. Thanks for watching.